Kicking things off at number 10, we have Ryan Gosling. Did you know Ryan was a Disney star? Cause I didn't. That's right, back in the 90s, Gosling was part of the Mickey Mouse Club alongside Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, and Britney Spears. A totally star-studded lineup, but they didn't know that yet. Yep, Gosling got his start on the Disney Channel, but didn't stick around for too long after joining the crew at the age of 12. In an interview from 2008, Ryan opened up about his 2 years on the Disney Channel. The La La Land actor revealed that producers from the Disney Channel thought that Ryan had a bit of an attitude problem and was a bad influence on the other kids. Now how could you say that about our darling Ryan? I mean, look at the man. He's oozing with sweet, gentle energy. Okay, let me stop before I start drooling. Gosling also went on to say that he was apparently considered to be such a menace to the other kids that the mothers of his co-stars went to the execs to complain about his behavior. The studio then ruled that Ryan wasn't Disney material because of his behavior and was soon let go. Obviously this little hiccup didn't stunt his career in the slightest, but it still would have been interesting to see him in more Disney projects. Up next at number 9 we have Teo Halm. As a spin-off slash reboot of the classic Disney show Boy Meets World, Girl Meets World started rolling, Disney execs were thinking of their cast list. Originally, Girl Meets World was supposed to focus on Corey and Topanga's daughter Riley, but they were also going to feature her older brother Elliot. Naturally, as anyone would be after being cast for a Disney show, Teo was stoked. This was going to be his big break. Unfortunately for him though, after filming the pilot episode with the whole cast, producers decided that they were going to cut Teo's character from the show. They released a statement saying that various creative changes are often made as a project transitions from pilot to series. Although Teo tells fans that there were no hard feelings towards the Disney team, it still got a sting a little. I mean, it seems that every kid's dream is to be on the Disney Channel, and for Teo to have that dream taken away when he was so close, man, that blows. His career hasn't taken much of a hit since being kicked off the Disney show, and I'm sure we will continue to watch his success unfold. But Disney, you lost out on a real one there. At number 8, Adrienne Bailon. Amigas, cheetahs, friends for life. You know who's not friends for life? Adrienne Bailon and Disney. The former cheetah girl who brought so much success to the Disney franchise was booted from the company after a photo leak back in 2008. The Cheetah Girls franchise was going so well, and Adrienne just had to mess things up with her titties. No, but really, back in 2008, either her or her boyfriend's computer got hacked and her nudes were leaked all over the internet. Obviously this wasn't good for her image, and it definitely was not good for Disney's either. Nudes are not brand friendly. Disney then quickly decided to cut ties with the actress, but Adrienne didn't seem to mind all that much. A lot of people believe that this so-called hack was a publicity stunt that Adrienne organized in order to be released from her contract and move on to other projects. This is understandable since she was 25 at the time. My guess is that she wanted to move on to more grown-up things, but I mean, if this didn't happen, then maybe we could have had a 4th Cheetah Girls movie, and that would have made my heart really happy. In at number 7, Lalaine. Best known for her role as Miranda from Lizzie McGuire, Lalaine was a fan favorite of many, including me. She was part of the Disney show's cast from the beginning, and she held a crucial role making up the trio of besties on the show. But mysteriously, Lalaine went MIA from the last few episodes of the series, as well as from the Lizzie McGuire movie that capped off the hit Disney show. The only explanation we as the audience were given for her mysterious disappearance was that Miranda went on vacation to Mexico during the events of the Lizzie McGuire movie. Her abrupt absence from the show was never explained further, and fans have been left wondering what actually happened to the actress. Obviously something big had to have gone down behind the scenes for her just to be wiped off the face of the Disney empire like that. Most fans believe that Lalaine had gotten herself into trouble. In a recent interview with the Lizzie McGuire cast, Lalaine mentioned that as a kid she went through a period of time that she called the dark days. The actress highlighted how she went nuts and stupid and just being angry and acting like she was so badass. I'm thinking that these so-called dark days were just the unfortunate combination of being a kid and growing up in the media. We've seen so many former child stars crash and burn because of their time in the spotlight, so this is probably the case. Disney just didn't want to have a kid burn out on camera like that. With the uncertainty of the Lizzie McGuire reboot up in the air, I certainly hope that we get to see the return of Miranda. Coming into number 6, we have Chloe Grace Moretz. Remember the 2008 Disney film Bolt? The one about the dog who wants to be a superhero? Well, did you know that the actress Chloe Grace Moretz was actually supposed to be the voice of Penny? Yep, that's right. Disney had cast Chloe to play the voice of Bolt's owner Penny, but was let go from the project and the role was given to Miley Cyrus instead. Chloe had actually recorded the whole movie when they decided, actually no, we want Miley instead. I mean, come on Disney. The girl spends all her time voicing the entire movie and you just decided to let her go? That's just mean. Producers still credited Chloe in the movie as the voice of young Penny, but still, that's gotta hurt. Just like our boy Tio, being kicked from the project at the last minute has gotta be one of the worst feelings ever. Luckily, being recast didn't hurt her career one bit. She's still one of the most sought after actresses in the industry and continues to find work outside of Disney. Halfway through at number 5, Jake T. Austin. Former Wizards of Waverly Place actor Jake T. Austin saw a lot of success when working on the Disney Channel. After finding fame alongside Selena Gomez and David Henry, Jake went on to pursue another role on the ABC family show The Fosters. ABC Family, a subsidiary of the Disney Empire, basically has the same sort of standards for their actors. They all have to keep their noses clean and stay family friendly, and as long as they follow the rules, they can have a career. They honestly sound a little culty, but I digress. Jake jumped into the new hit series playing the role of Jesus and saw a lot of success. But then just out of freaking nowhere, Jake goes AWOL and gets into some trouble. In 2013, Jake was arrested and charged with a DUI. Jake, who was 18 at the time, was able to handle things pretty discreetly and not much news broke of it. Fast forward to 2014, and Jake lands himself back into some more trouble, this time being involved in a pretty serious crash. Now get this, Jake had allegedly driven into 3 parked cars, then threw a bottle of Ciroc out of the window and Ubered away from the crash. Talk about chaotic. First of all, how do you hit 3 parked cars at once? Like, I don't understand how that would work. Secondly, he just threw a bottle of premium grade vodka out the window. Probably to prevent himself from getting another DUI, but still, that ish is pretty pricey nonetheless. And number 3, who just Ubers away from a crash like that? You just got yourself a witness, my guy. You're not very good at committing crimes. Now obviously this kind of behavior upset the head honchos at Disney, and his Foster's character was recast to Hollywood's newest heartthrob, Noah Centineo. Jake, you done effed up on that one. In at number 4, Mitchell Musso. Oh Oliver, how you done goofed. Former Disney Channel actor Mitchell Musso, best known for his role as Oliver Oaken in Hannah Montana, saw his career crash and burn in 2011. Just shortly after the end of Hannah Montana, Mitchell, who was just 20 years old at the time, was charged with a DUI when he was pulled over by an officer after failing to comply with police-directed traffic. Musso was in deep trouble with this one, because not only was his blood alcohol level way above the legal limit, he was also not supposed to be drinking alcohol in the first place, since in the US the legal drinking age is 21, and he had not quite reached that age at the time of the incident. Now, in true Mickey Mouse fashion, Mitchell was shunned from Disney because of this. He was kicked off his upcoming Disney project Pair of Kings, and they even refused to acknowledge his part in it. He was well and truly shunned from the company. He had also been part of the cast of Phineas and Ferb, and was obviously banished from that project as well, but at least they gave him some credit. Following his DUI charge, his legal battle began, but luckily for Musso, he wasn't given jail time. Instead, he was served with 36 months probation, forced to take an alcohol education class, and he had to pay a fine. Since then, his career has never been the same, and he was never able to pick up the same success that he once had on the Disney Channel, but I guess that's just the universe's way of punishing him. Coming down to the wire, let's talk about PewDiePie. Or should I say, PewDiePie. I don't know if he still does that, but I'm saying it anyway. The YouTube gamer, who was scheduled to have a collaboration with Maker Studios, a Disney-owned company, was quickly dropped after being faced with backlash following a slew of anti-Semitic jokes. The backlash coming at Pewds came from a series of since deleted videos where he featured a mix of anti-Semitic jokes and Nazi imagery. Now, Pewds, I know you built your fame off being loud and critical and making jokes and whatnot, but don't you think that joking about some serious discrimination is probably not the best thing for your career? The best, or probably the worst example of this poor decision comes from a video he posted where we see 2 men holding up a sign that says "Death to all Jews" and another that features someone dressed as Jesus saying Hitler did nothing wrong. Like, dude, seriously? How did you think you could post this and get away with it? You should have seen the hate coming from light years away. Clearly this kind of thing really upset the people at Maker Studios, and they decided to cut ties with the YouTuber shortly after these videos were published. Of all the times you could have been offensive, and of all the times you could have been publicly scrutinized, you chose the moment after you signed with one of the biggest companies in the world to go and mess things up for yourself. PewDiePie went ahead and issued an apology saying that he does not support that kind of behavior and that the message was misconstrued, but no one was really buying that. The video was made to show how Pewds paid people on the website Fiverr to make banners and film themselves, but that still doesn't take away from the fact that even though he could have made the people he hired to do anything, he chose to make them include anti-Semitic messages. Bad move on your part, Pewds. In at number 2, Jake Paul. We all know YouTuber Jake Paul for his YouTube antics, but back in 2017, it was those very antics that got him fired from his role on the Disney Channel show Bizaardvark. With all the shenanigans Jake and his Team 10 housemates got into, Jake's neighbors were not thrilled with having them there. There had reportedly been so many house calls and complaints against Jake and the Team 10 house that it started to get media attention. And you know Disney, if it's not good news for them, it's bad news for you. The YouTuber's bad press was not good for Disney's image, so some tough decisions had to be made. The execs at Disney came to the decision to let Jake go, and supposedly the decision was mutual with Jake's team. I kinda don't buy that. I can't really believe that Jake made the decision to leave Disney, since being on the show was his dream and the whole reason he moved to California in the first place. I know that he was getting a lot of success on his own from YouTube, but being fired from Disney probably wasn't part of Jake's plan. He said that he and his team had made the decision to leave, but I think what really happened is that he just didn't want to seem upset about it and let it go. I mean, he took the L and moved on. Things for Jake have been pretty okay since then, although he's already a divorcee, but I guess that's just how Jake rolls. And in the #1 spot we have Bella Thorne. Miss Bella Thorne, known best for her time on Disney's Shake It Up, really shook things up for Disney after a few years under the mouse's iron fist. Ever since moving on from the entertainment empire, Bella has been very vocal about her time working on Disney and why she was let go. As it goes for a lot of Disney stars, their contracts limit their freedom as individuals. They're asked to stay pretty PG and kid-friendly as they work there, but for some stars who grow up on the platform, this rule tends to be pretty restricting. As Bella grew up on TV, she wanted to express herself more and just really be herself, but obviously Disney doesn't like that. Really, the thing that started to anger Disney and push them to let Bella go were her clothing choices. Whenever Bella would dress up in a crop top or be seen out in a bikini, some execs were not happy because it wasn't brand friendly enough. All Bella wanted to do was wear what she felt made her happy, but apparently this was against the contract. If this sort of thing happened to me, I'd probably react in the same way Bella did and just keep on doing it. No one really has much right to tell you what you can and cannot wear, and it's not really fair to have those sort of rules in place. So Bella kept on pushing until they were fed up with her and they let her go. Now Bella is free to do whatever she wants, like direct adult films and start an OnlyFans. She's her own boss now and she's killing the game.
In at #10, Bella Thorne. Bella Thorne played Ruthie Spivey in the television series My Own Worst Enemy back in 2008 and Tansy Hendrickson in the 4th season of Big Love in 2010. However, she began gaining prominence for her role as Cece Jones in the Disney Channel series Shake It Up, which she was a part of from 2010 to 2013. Although Bella admits herself that she never wanted to be a Disney star. During an episode of the MTV podcast Happy, Sad, Confused, Thorne admitted that she didn't want to audition even, but she felt she needed to because her family was close to homelessness. While that may seem like a very nice thing for her to do, she maintained this attitude of not wanting to be there. She would repeatedly tell the director that she doesn't know why she's there, and people would just laugh about it, thinking that she was just joking around, I guess. In reality, she hated being there the whole time. Makes it very difficult to work with if someone doesn't like what they're doing. In at #9, Orlando Brown. While at the 2018 Radio Disney Music Awards, Raven-Symoné was asked about Orlando Brown's new tattoo, which just so happened to be, well, Raven's face. Here's what she had to say.
Yeah, what do you make of that? I make of the 2nd season of That's So Raven will be coming out July 25th. Bye!
Looks like they haven't really been keeping in touch following their time with Disney. Orlando was a child actor on many sitcoms, but is best known for his role as Eddie Thomas on That's So Raven. However, it became evident how difficult he is to work with when Disney reprised the show under its new name, Raven's Home. While her and Annalise Vanderpool came back, Orlando was noticeably missing from the reunion. The main reason why they couldn't have him back is due to his non-Disney-like behavior. Brown made headlines after he was arrested for public intoxication and disturbing the peace after he threatened to kill a woman. Not exactly the best person to be working with after that. In at #8, Lelaine Vergara. Lelaine is best known for her role as Miranda Sanchez on Lizzie McGuire, and after she tried to pursue a music career, she sort of fell into obscurity. She had filmed with the show from 2001 to 2004, but by 2007, people started to find out who she really is. In July of 2007, Lelaine was arrested and charged with felony possession of methamphetamines. She pleaded guilty to the charge, and a $50,000 bench warrant was set after she failed to appear in court for her hearings. And according to Lelaine, she had some serious beef with her fellow actors as she was the only one deemed to be too ethnic. They actually told her to look as white as possible, which undoubtedly caused some tension between her and everyone else on the show. When a Lizzie McGuire reboot was in the works, they confirmed every character returning, but Lelaine was left out of the conversation. In at #7, Demi Lovato. Demi Lovato had been a Disney kid for a long time. She appeared on Barney and Friends from 2002 to 2004. However, between 2007 to 2008, Lovato played Charlotte Adams on the Disney Channel short series as The Bell Ring Rings. She then auditioned for the channel's television film Camp Rock and new TV series Sunny with a Chance, for which she landed both roles. Now, to Demi's defense, she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and struggled a lot with finding body confidence. So needless to say, she could be a bit of a nightmare on set, but it was primarily due to the pressures of maintaining this presence while on top after all of this early success with Disney. During an interview with Refinery 29, Demi said, "Prior to getting sober, I was one of those people who was like, I don't give a whatever. And I used that as an excuse to do whatever I wanted. I was a nightmare to work with." Well, at least she admits it herself. In at number 6, Zac Efron. Zac Efron first rose to prominence when he landed the lead role of Troy Bolton in Disney's High School Musical. From there, he basically became a teen heartthrob and at the center of attention in Hollywood. Zac told The Hollywood Reporter that he started drinking a lot and got deeply involved with hard drugs. His excuse was that he was in his 20s, single, and going through life in Hollywood, and everything felt like it was just being thrown at him. Apparently, while filming the movie Neighbors with Seth Rogen, his drug habits started to spiral out of control. They even needed to halt filming while he checked himself into rehab for a cocaine addiction. And then on top of that, his reckless behavior extended further than just his substance abuse behind the scenes. According to TMZ, Zac got himself into a violent altercation with a homeless man on Skid Row in Los Angeles, which resulted in him getting punched in the mouth right before the police finally separated them. A source told TMZ that Zac was obviously intoxicated and willingly engaged in mutual combat with this homeless guy. Yeah, it's not stable behavior for an actor that you want to work with. Definitely not for Disney. In at number 5, Shia LaBeouf. Most people will recognize Shia LaBeouf from his time with the Transformers franchise, but I'll always know him as just Louis Stevens in the Disney Channel series Even Stevens, a role for which he received a Young Artist Award nomination in 2001 and won a Daytime Emmy Award in 2003. Although Shia LaBeouf's career would soon take a tumultuous turn. In 2017 alone, the actor was sued for $5 million by a bartender. He was arrested in Savannah, Georgia for public intoxication, and he was ordered to attend a 10-week rehab program. Although Shia has done his best to shed all these rumors surrounding him about being difficult to work with. I mean, while working on the set of Fury, he received a ton of praise from his fellow actors. Brad Pitt even paid him a huge compliment during his interview with GQ magazine. Brad told the magazine, "Oh, I love this boy. He's one of the best actors I've ever seen. He's full-on commitment, man. He's living it like no one else. Let me tell you, I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of great actors, and he's one of the best I've ever seen." I wish I could have done that in a Brad Pitt voice. We'll get there. In at number 4, Jake T. Austin. Beginning his career as a child actor at the age of 7, Austin is a 5-time Young Artist Award nominee, 2-time Teen Choice Award nominee, and Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award nominee. He's best known though for his role as Max Russo on the Disney Channel series Wizards of Waverly Place. Jake attributes a lot of his bad behavior to the tough transition of moving from child actor to an evolved adult star. While at the Teen Choice Awards, apparently Austin threw a giant temper tantrum backstage after a staff member didn't recognize him. According to TMZ and multiple eyewitness accounts, he became infuriated by this and started throwing empty shoeboxes at a female staff member. But then he said this next year.
"This has been the summer of kick-ass women."
In at number 3, Ashley Tisdale. During her childhood, Tisdale was featured in over 100 advertisements and had minor roles in television and theater. She also achieved mainstream success as Maddie Fitzpatrick in the Disney Channel series The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Her success was heightened even further when she starred as Sharpay Evans in the High School Musical film series from 2006 to 2008. Tisdale even admitted herself that she was very difficult to work with during her time on High School Musical. During a chat with Andy Cohen, she said that her and Lucas, who played her on-screen brother, didn't get along at first. She told the host that they didn't get along at first because when they were screen testing, she was only giving him just like regular line readings, so not really being in the character. Then when he asked her to, method act to get themselves into character, she noticed that her attitude was creeping a little too closely to that of her character Sharpay. She went on to say, "I do think I became a lot like the character, and I think he thought I was really like Sharpay, and it wasn't until we rapped that he was like, oh, you're not that person." Or is she? In at number 2, Jake Paul. Jake is far from his Disney acting days now, but according to reports, he wasn't the easiest person to work with. Aside from Vine, he really rose to prominence for playing the role of Dork Man on the Disney Channel series Bizaardvark. Although Jake was unceremoniously dropped from the show before the start of the 2nd season, and his exit was listed as effective immediately. Paul had been making local headlines in Los Angeles after complaints that he had been getting from his neighbors over alleged partying and pranks at his West Hollywood rental house. He was then featured in a KTLA news report after he started climbing up on her news van during a live broadcast.
Can we do it by the truck?
Yeah.
In a minute. Yeah.
Let's go by the truck.
Whoa! I wouldn't crawl up there.
Why?
Okay, I just wouldn't do that.
I want to do the interview here.
Yeah,
A spokesperson from the Disney Channel refused to comment as to why they dropped him, but explained that it was a mutual departure and that they wished him all the best. Probably had a lot to do with those news segments. I'm gonna go with the news segments. Last but certainly not least, in our #1 spot, Miley Cyrus. Arguably one of the most successful child stars of her generation, Miley has had a rise and fall like nobody else. She became a teen idol as the title character of the Disney Channel television series Hannah Montana, which ultimately led to her becoming a very successful recording artist as well. Although all of that fame and being the daughter of a rock star aren't necessarily great for one's ego. She started to perform as both Hannah Montana and herself, which really did a number on her psyche and led to her becoming sort of a double diva. In her book titled Miles to Go, Miley reflected on her time working with co-star Emily Osment on the show and said that when the cameras stopped rolling, they didn't really get along. Miley writes, "The show felt real to me and I wanted my relationship with Lily to feel real too. I knew it didn't have to, show business is show business, but I was disappointed. There were times when I didn't think we could ever be friends. We just couldn't figure out how to get along." Probably because you're a diva. Just guessing.
Starting off our list, number 10 is Joe Jonas. If you're a fan of the Jonas Brothers, then you have to be a fan of Joe, who is often called the leading man of the group, even though I will personally argue that Nick is. He was the star in the Disney movie Camp Rock though, where he starred alongside Demi Lovato as her camp crush. Let's be honest, their Jonas Brothers band is a thing because of Disney. It's almost like Disney brought back boy bands for our generation during that time. You would think that Joe would have some appreciation for Disney after the amount of success it brought him, but in an essay he wrote for New York Magazine, he criticized them and the writing for their show called Jonas. He said, "The thing about the show was that some of the writing on it was terrible." He also went on to reveal some rules that Disney had that he thought was too much, like having to shave every day and wearing his hair a certain way. They also had to sugarcoat everything, and apparently their lyrics had to be approved beforehand. He talked about it and said, "We went along with it at the time because we thought Disney was our only real shot and we were terrified that it could be taken away from us at any moment." Luckily for them, they ended up leaving the Disney spotlight, and over 10 years later they returned as the Jonas Brothers, not under Disney, and they were just as successful as they were the first time. I just saw them in concert last week. Coming in next at number 9 is Selena Gomez. Before she was taking over the Billboard music chart, she was a young girl starring on the Disney Channel series Wizards of Waverly Place. Her name became known because of her role, and she can't deny that she got a platform for her music now because of her time on Disney. But she hasn't. She's always been honest about the doors that they opened for her. But she also put blame on them for the pressure that she felt to be perfect and the fact that she was often overworked. During an interview with the New York Times, she opened up about her time on Disney and said, "I knew deep down that this wasn't what I wanted to do, being exhausted of forcing something that wasn't right. I had to have moments where I was crying. I was forced to get very uncomfortable for a while in order to make the decisions that I made." Not gonna lie, I didn't realize that her time on Disney made her feel that way. I guess as kids we just like see them so happy and we think that they're out there living the dream, but I was a little surprised to hear her talk that way about it. Truth always comes out. Sliding into the number 8 spot is Jake Paul. Now most people will know him as a famously obnoxious YouTuber, but he was actually a Disney Channel star and took on the role of Dirk in their series called Bizaardvark. During that time he used his Disney platform to his advantage, and a lot of fans followed his YouTube channel as well, where he started to gain even more popularity. But if you have followed his YouTube channel, you would know that his content isn't really Disney friendly. He started posting things that were outside of the Disney standards, and he was even making the news because his neighbors were calling the cops on him for his disturbance in wild behavior. In 2017 he posted an announcement to his Twitter saying, I quote, "My team, Disney Channel, and I have come to the agreement it's finally time for me to move on from the Disney family and Bizaardvark. Being a part of the Disney family for the past 2 years was incredible and a dream come true." Professional of him, right? But after all was said and done, he started going back on what he said and publicly bashed Disney, saying that he chose to leave them. Rumors were going around at first saying that he was fired, so he was kind of a dick about it and made sure that people knew that he left them by his own choice and that he doesn't need them. On the Impulsive podcast he said, "I'm sitting there on Disney Channel literally making crumbs compared to what I'm making doing my YouTube channel." Classic Jake Paul. That is like a classic Jake Paul thing to say. In the number 7 spot is JoJo. A lot of people know her for her music, but some people might remember her from TV series and movies like The Bernie Mac Show, Aquamarine, and Lethal Weapon. Turns out that JoJo was offered a role with Disney and she turned it down. And this wasn't just any kind of role, it was one that helped launch a completely new generation of Disney stars. She was offered the role of Hannah Montana. That is literally my dream, and it makes me so mad that she turned it down. What are you thinking? At the time that the show was in development, JoJo was embarking on her own music career, so they thought it would be the perfect fit. Because we all know that that girl can sing. But she turned down the offer, and during an interview with Extra, she said that she has no regrets at all about not taking the part. She also wrote on her MySpace page at the time, saying, "I was more concerned with being a legitimate artist. I wanted to do it on my own, the old-fashioned way, with talent, determination, and hard work." Girl, that sounds like you're throwing some shade there. I don't think being on Disney makes you less legitimate, and I'm sure they weren't too thrilled about that remark. Moving into the number 6 spot is Bella Thorne, another actress who threw some shade on the Disney name, even though it is the reason that her name is what it is now in the industry. She was once taken on the lead role in the Disney Channel series Shake It Up. It is what set her career in motion. She was able to make a name for herself through Disney, and even after leaving the network, she has continued on to have a very successful career of her own. She starred in movies, she released some of her own singles, she wrote her own book, and she directed her own porno. No joke. She's now a very open and authentic young lady who has no shame in expressing who she is in the ways that she wants to. And she was quick to bash the Disney name, saying that they controlled her and used their power as an advantage against her. She told ABC News that she had to talk in a completely different, higher pitched voice because it would appeal more to the younger audience. She also revealed that the network threatened to fire her for wearing a bikini on a family vacation when she was just 14 years old. Her mom bought her the black bikini and she took a picture in it, which they deemed as too skimpy, and it almost cost her her career. During an interview with Under the Influence, she told the story and said, "They said, you're lucky that Bella has such a fan base that we can't afford to fire her at this moment in time, but if she does one more thing, we will." Talk about feeling the pressure. Like at any moment you could lose your entire career in front of the entire world. That's jacked. Halfway through the list, number 5 is Dylan Sprouse. If for some reason that name doesn't ring a bell, he is one of the twins that starred in The Sweet Life of Zac and Cody. It was one of Disney's biggest hit TV series, which later earned a spin-off series called The Sweet Life on Deck. However, the spin-off abruptly ended when the twins turned 18. Fans never really got a full explanation why, but Dylan had no problem sharing what happened, and he threw them under the bus in the process. Dylan says that Disney is the reason the show came to an end. In an interview with Vulture, he explained that Disney refused to work with them on where the show was going. He called them out and said that the network used them as faces for the franchise, but then refused to work with them creatively. He said, "I mean, we had a really awesome idea for where the show needed to go. I don't think Disney Channel was willing to work with us really ever, so we stopped the show." Alright, so not only is he claiming that they wouldn't work with him on their spin-off series, but he low-key just said that they never really worked with them. So I'm thinking that there's a lot more tea in his cup, and I want to hear the full story. Here we are at number 4 with Rowan Blanchard. This little starlet played Riley Matthews on the Disney series Girl Meets World. She did an interview with W Magazine where she spoke some truth on a network, and fans believe she's talking about Disney. She did not mention Disney Channel by name, but fans are saying she didn't even need to because it was pretty obvious. So I'm gonna put my faith in the fans for this one. In the interview, she spoke on the fact that she felt silenced on a network that is known for silencing its employees. Her exact words were, I quote, "I worked for a corporation for 4 years that is known for silencing and crafting your voice. So with that, I just had to very much stand my ground and separate myself, which I think I did." After hearing all the other stories on our list, this would make sense if she was speaking about Disney. Not to mention, she was with the network for 4 years from 2014 to 2017. So all signs point to Disney. Since leaving this network, she has become a very outspoken activist, and she said she is happy that people now recognize her for that, not just for her time on the show. Alright guys, we are at number 3 and we have Miley Cyrus. Not really sure if this one needs an explanation. I mean, I think her entire image and behavior has been a complete betrayal to Disney, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't into it. I love her. But with that comes her big mouth where she has no problem saying how she feels, and she does not have positive things to say about the network. For starters, she blamed Disney for her struggle with body dysmorphia, saying, "I was told for so long what a girl is supposed to be from being on that show. I was made to look like someone that I wasn't, which probably caused some body dysmorphia. But now that she's off the show and more comfortable than ever in her skin, she has a lot more to say." Like this iconic quote, she said, "I don't give a shit. I'm Not Disney, where they have to be politically correct and like everyone has bright colored t-shirts. I mean, she's not wrong. But the biggest betrayal of all came earlier this year in February 2019 when she did an interview and revealed that Disney underpaid her. She told Elle magazine that she was the least paid person of the entire cast, and they only did it because they knew she was a kid who wouldn't decline the offer of being on Disney. She also said that they would probably kill her for revealing that. But whatever, I mean they can't touch her at this point in her career. Not to mention, that is so crazy to me. Taking over our number 2 spot is Meryl Streep. This one surprised me a little bit. Obviously she is not a young Disney star, but she's one of the most iconic actors in Hollywood, so what the hell happened for her to betray Disney? Back in 2014, the actress made headlines after she made a speech at the National Board of Review dinner that completely bashed Walt Disney. Not just the Disney Network, like Walt Disney himself. It was a long 10-minute speech full of nasty accusations about Disney, characterizing him as a racist and a gender bigot. Her words, not mine. She said, I quote, "Disney was perhaps or had some racist proclivities, and he was certainly on the evidence of his company's policies a gender bigot. He formed and supported an anti-Semitic industry lobbying group." It was quite the speech. She basically ripped them a new one and her speech was applauded all over. Although I'm sure that anyone behind the Disney Network was not joining in on that round of applause. Winning the number 1 spot is Chris Hemsworth. Now, he is not a bad guy. He did not bash the Disney name, nor did he refuse one of their roles. We know that he's been in their Marvel universe as Thor for years now, pretty much becoming an iconic hero to most fans. And everyone knows that when you are part of the MCU family, going to the DC side is a complete betrayal. Rumors began spreading 5 days ago claiming that Chris might be going to DC and taking on the role of Green Lantern. Now, it has not been confirmed yet, but it is worth mentioning because if this goes down, is gonna hit the fan. It wouldn't be the first time that an actor has switched from Marvel to DC Comics, but it would be a bold choice since he's played such a big role in the MCU all these years. It all started when articles surfaced claiming that Warner Brothers executives said that they were very interested in getting the actor over to the DCEU to take on the role as Green Lantern, which could be debuted in Dwayne Johnson's movie Black Adam. Nothing is 100% yet, so we're just gonna have to hang tight for now, but what do you guys think? Would you support this decision, or is it a complete betrayal? Tell me down in the comments. Starting off list number 10 is Ryan Gosling. The live-action Beauty and the Beast movie came out in 2017 and starred Emma Watson as Belle and Dan Stevens as the Beast. But it might come as a surprise to some of you to learn that Ryan Gosling was originally set to play the lead role of the Beast. What? Ryan Gosling in a live-action Disney movie? That is like every girl's dream come true. Teen Vogue spilled the tea for us and said that he was being offered the part when the film was in development back in 2015, but he passed on it. How in the hell do you turn down an offer like that by a company like Disney? I will never understand. Turns out he turned it down because he wanted to take on the role in La La Land instead, and the filming schedules would have conflicted with each other. He couldn't even hide the reason for rejecting their offer either, because it made headlines shortly after that he was doing La La Land with Emma Stone. But in an interesting twist, turns out Emma Watson was originally up for the lead actress in La La Land, but turned it down to play Belle in Beauty and the Beast. How crazy is that? It all worked out for everyone, I guess, but I'm sure Disney would have loved Emma Watson and Ryan Gosling pairing up together. That would have been unreal. Like an iconic moment. Coming in number 9 is Chloe Moretz. Many people would agree that out of all the Disney live-action remakes happening, finding out about The Little Mermaid was the most exciting. But it was announced on 2 different occasions, so we were confused for a while and wondering if it was actually happening. 3 years ago, it was announced that Chloe Moretz was cast to play the iconic role of the mermaid Ariel. She even posted a picture on her Facebook in a mermaid tail and shared her excitement with her fans. But it was later announced that she had pulled out from production and ditched the role. She told The Hollywood Reporter, "I pulled the plug on all my movies because I wanted to reassess who I am and find myself within my roles again." I mean, girl, I understand to some degree, you gotta do what's best for you. However, Disney hands you one of the most legendary roles of all time and you walk away from it? That gives you anxiety just thinking about it. Disney will never forget that you walked away from that, and personally, neither will I. Up next, number 8 is Leonardo DiCaprio. How did one of the biggest actors in Hollywood betray a name like Disney? Apparently this is old news and I'm just showing up late to the party, but he was another actor who turned down a role that was offered by Disney. Turns out he was offered to play Max Dennison in the comedy classic Hocus Pocus. Wow, what a mistake, Leo. But he knows it. During an interview with Variety, he reflected on the offer and explained that he was only 18 years old at the time and was holding hope for a lead part in What's Eating Gilbert Grape during that time. He ended up landing that role, but admits that when he said no to Disney, he hadn't even auditioned for it yet. So he was literally just hanging on to pure hope. He doesn't tell us how much, but he did say he missed out on, I quote, "more money than I ever dreamed of." He talked about his decision and said, "I don't know where the hell I got the nerve." Me either, Leo. Me either. You would have made a great Max. Not to mention, you would have made bank. Although I don't think you're suffering in that department, regardless of that role. Michael Douglas. He is one of the biggest movie stars of all time, mostly known for his intense films which is aimed for an adult audience. But in more recent years he embraced the younger generation with his role as Hank Pym in the MCU. But there was another offer on the table from Disney, a big one, that he turned down. And there wasn't really any reason for rejecting the offer, he just didn't want to do it. In 2015, the 70-year-old actor revealed the secret while sitting with Simon Cowell on The Late Show with James Corden. He was talking to Simon and said, "When you talk about the pictures that you turned down, I have nothing I turned down except there was one animation picture, just a voiceover that would have been more profitable for me than any picture I've ever done." Then they start doing this grinning thing at each other and Michael whispers, "Frozen." He went on to say that he doesn't remember the role that he was offered, but obviously it was one that he was not interested in. Disney never commented on it, but thanks to Michael for spilling that bit of tea for us. I want to know how much money you were offered though. And at number 6 is Michael Shannon. For starters, the actor got caught falling asleep while watching Batman vs Superman, which is never a compliment, but he admits that he was on an international flight and he was really tired. I'm sure Disney could be forgiving for something like this, but they might not be as forgiving towards the fact that he didn't want to do a movie with them and then called their idea uninteresting. It all came out during an interview with Fortress when he was asked if he was interested in doing a Star Wars or a Marvel movie. He responded by saying, "No, I'm not really looking for that. They called me recently about some iteration, I won't say, but some version of a movie that's been made countless times. They were gonna give me a lot of money, but I was like, nah. Big movie too, but I have to think it's an interesting story. If I don't, I can't do it, I won't do it." I mean, you could have just said that you didn't want to do it. He didn't have to say that it wasn't interesting and that it had been done already. That's just like insulting. But it doesn't surprise me that he wouldn't care for a Marvel movie. I mean, he was falling asleep while watching them, you guys. Halfway through the list, at number 5 is Alison Stoner. The actress started her career working on the Disney Channel. She first began on the show called Super Short Show and then went on to appear in pretty much everything. The Sweet Life of Zac and Cody, Phineas and Ferb, and Camp Rock. So booking roles with Disney was never an issue, which is why it was surprising to hear her throw them under the bus during an interview. She does admit that Disney opened up opportunities for her, but she says that they were never handed to her like people think. She said that people often think that once you're in with the Disney Channel that you're just basically set up from there. However, she revealed that she had to keep auditioning for every part she wanted and said that there were some actors who never auditioned their entire career, but she had to. She said, "It was kind of frustrating. I was grateful, but then I was like, man, I've been on 12 shows for you and I'm coming here auditioning for 3 different roles and not getting any of them, and it's almost like you don't know who I am or what I'm capable of." She also referred to Disney as a high school and said because she wasn't under the same contract as the leads, she was fortunate to escape it. And she did. If you didn't know, she's also the little girl who danced in Missy Elliott's music video 17 years ago and then just performed it at the VMAs all grown up. That's her. So she done well for herself without Disney. Here we are at number 4 with Jack Nicholson. The famous actor is known for a wide range of roles and one of them almost came from a Disney movie. That was before he demanded a ridiculous counteroffer and ended up saying no to the original deal. The 1997 movie Hercules is still one of the most underrated Disney movies in my opinion. It had a variety of different voice actors and Jack Nicholson was asked to be one of them. Back in the day he was offered to take on the role of the villain Hades, but apparently he demanded a high pay and also wanted a certain percentage of the merchandise revenue. When Disney did not agree to his counteroffer, he rejected theirs. Ouch. Talk about entitlement. I honestly don't have much to say about it. I mean, when you demand stuff like that, and they call your bluff, and they say no, yeah, I'll never be asked something again. In the third spot on our list is AJ, you know, one of the sisters from the Disney group Allie and AJ. The sisters made a name for themselves under the Disney Channel's music label Hollywood Records. But even though they had massive success, they walked away from the industry altogether and took a break for a while. In more recent interviews, they talked about why, and AJ blames Disney, saying that they left a bad taste in their mouth. During an interview with Playboy magazine, she said, "We had experienced so much as kids and I kind of feel like we learned a lot about the industry that put a little bit of bad taste in our mouth. She said being a part of the Disney World kind of had them disillusioned with the industry as a whole. She admitted that they lost the love that they had for music, however, they did come back years later, just not with Disney. Huh. Suck on that, Disney. I'm kidding, please hire me. Filling in the number 2 spot is the one and only Bill Murray. Apparently the actor will pick and choose what movie project he wants to work on next, and if he isn't interested in the offer, he won't actually tell you. He'll just let your calls go to voicemail. So basically he ghosts you. This is not a joke though, you guys. In 2000 he fired his agents for reportedly calling him too often and then replaced them with an automated 800 number. So when filmmakers wanted to pitch projects to him, they would leave a message on his voicemail box. If he was interested, he'd get back to you, and if not, he would basically just ghost. So who did he send to voicemail? Disney. Turns out they wanted him to voice the Big Blue Sully in Monsters Inc. The director Peter Docter spoke on the story and said, studio executives tried to contact him to offer the part, he was nowhere to be found. Calls to his 800 number went unanswered, we took that to mean no. I mean, at least pick up the phone and politely decline. Damn boy, who raised you? Where are your manners? Taking over the number 1 spot is Shia LaBeouf. There's probably a long list of his actions that would be enough evidence as a betrayal to Disney, seeing as they made his career with his role on Even Stevens. His different arrests and public outbursts are probably enough to feel like some form of betrayal. Like, didn't we raise you better than that? But he did a recent interview and opened up about the darker side of his Disney stardom. He brought up the money aspect and said that Disney refused to give a salary raise when it was due. He said that they would cancel a series after 3 seasons because at that point they would be required to give a salary raise, and he said, I quote, Disney wasn't trying to pay salaries like that. He went on to say that growing up as a Disney star really affected his mental health and that he feels like he suffered from a form of PTSD from it, which is quite a serious claim if you ask me. Not sure if Disney could forgive him for that one. I'm not really sure that he cares though.